welcome to another episode of Black Girl Bible. I'm your host, Janai, Imani, and today is Season 2, Episode 6, Who's in the Room? Let's start off with a brief word of prayer. God, I thank you for this day. I thank you for allowing me to have the opportunity to speak to your people once again, God. I pray that whoever this message is for, that they will hear it with open ears, that they will internalize it, take it to heart, Father, and really take it before you and ask you what it is that you are speaking to them. What is the message for them? And that they will be able to apply it to their lives, God. I pray that as we go throughout this week, we evaluate who do we have around us? Who do we have in the room with us, Father? Who would you have in our lives, God? Help us to keep our circles the way that you intended, Father. Help us to have people around us that are strong believers that can carry us through when we need the help, Father. I pray that we'll have people that can build us up in our faith, Jesus. I pray that we have people that keep us grounded to you and help us to chase further and further after you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. So we're starting off in Acts chapter 9, verse 36 through 38. There was a believer in Joppa named Tabitha. She was always doing kind things for others and helping the poor. About this time, she became ill and died. Her body was washed for burial and laid in an upstairs room. But the believers had heard that Peter was nearby at Lydda, so they sent 2 men to beg him, "Please come as soon as possible." Pausing right here, right? You need believers in your circle that can call on the Lord and intercede for you when you can't do it for yourself. She was ill. She died. She wasn't able to go out and seek the help that she needed, but she had believers that could do it on her behalf. Going down a little bit further to verse 39 through 41. So Peter returned with them, and as soon as he arrived, they took him to the upstairs room. The room was filled with widows who were weeping and showing him the coats and other clothes Dorcas, who was Tabitha, had made for them. But Peter asked them to all leave the room. Then he knelt and prayed. Turning to the body, he said, "Get up, Tabitha." And she opened her eyes. When she saw Peter, she sat up. He gave her his hand and helped her up. Then he called in the widows and all the believers, and he presented her to them alive. So when Peter originally got there, the room was filled with widows. It was filled with people weeping and crying, and all of this negativity was in the room. But this sorrow, this negative energy was not what Peter needed around him. It's not what Tabitha needed around her in order to improve and revive the situation. Peter had to get rid of the noise and the negativity so he could have silence and quiet time with God. Once he was able to have that and the situation was revived, Peter called everyone back into the room. So sometimes you need that quiet time with God. You need that silence to hear him clearly so that you can emerge into the next level that he has for you. And so sometimes when we're feeling stuck or our situation is dead, God is really waiting on us to evaluate the people that we have in the room with us. Who are the people that we have around us? God is waiting to elevate us until we can analyze that and make the right adjustments. Because not everyone can be in the room with you when God is going to bless you, when God is going to take you to the next level, when God is going to elevate you. You've got to get rid of the negativity. You've got to get rid of the people that can't help you in your next season, the people that. And it's not about like what people can do for you, but it's where is their mindset? Who are they calling on for strength? Who are they leaning on for guidance? If it's not God, they're not going to be able to help you in your next season. Even when you're being faithful and you're being kind and you're doing what God has told you to do, you're being obedient. Like Tabitha was nice. Tabitha was giving what she had to the poor. She was giving back to her community. She was being helpful. She was being sweet. She still got sick and died. And so sometimes you're going to hit that point in your situation where it feels like it's dead, no matter how great you thought you were following God's voice. But you can delight in knowing that God will place people in your lives to help bring you out of that situation. He will not leave you there. He won't allow your situation to just die and go on. Like he will always be there with you. And if it's not a situation where you can speak up for yourself, he'll make sure that you've got the right people around you. And you've got to help him with that though, by analyzing and monitoring. And when he tells you, don't think this person is for you, being able to make those adjustments so that when you get to situations, when you get to seasons in your life where you need to lean on those people and call on those people, to call on God on your behalf, they can do that. So believe that God will place people in your life that will help you to revive your situation and give you the courage to get up and continue on. So even if we look at Luke chapter 8, verse 50 through 55, this is just another example of this same sort of situation where someone had to lean on other people, not even consciously, but their decision to have certain people around them helped them in this other season. So it says, but when Jesus heard what had happened, he said to Jairus, "Don't be afraid, just have faith, and she will be healed." When they arrived at the house, Jesus wouldn't let anyone go in with him except Peter, John, James, and the little girl's father and mother. The house was filled with people weeping and wailing, but he said, "Stop the weeping. She isn't dead, she's only asleep." But the crowd laughed at him because they all knew she had died. Then Jesus took her by the hand and said in a loud voice, "My child, get up." And at that moment, her life returned, and immediately she stood up. So even here, like when you've lost all hope, you feel like your situation is dead, you've got people mocking you and questioning you and telling you, like, why do you even bother believing God for that anymore? That situation is dead. Why are you still praying? Why are you still being faithful? Why are you still calling and seeking God for that? But it's because God doesn't see our situations the same way that we see them on earth. In this scenario, Jesus saw the girl as just sleeping, and it wasn't going to take a lot of effort for him to wake her up. She was just asleep. She wasn't dead to Jesus. But to the people around him, they thought the situation was dead. They couldn't see any hope for bringing her back, but her father had faith and took comfort and knew that if anybody could do it, it would be Jesus. And so even as people were mocking Jesus, at the sound of his voice, she immediately got up and came back to life. But he had to silence that weeping and wailing and negativity before he could do that. Like, it's the same as it was with Tabitha. Like, you've got to silence that negativity and cancel out the noise that is not looking to God and believing for a better situation. And I think it's even interesting looking at how, like, at the end where it said, "My child, get up," and at that moment her life returned and she immediately stood up. She wasn't laying down when Jesus brought her back to life. Like, she was immediately elevated. She got up. So you can go from your situation being dead to immediately being revived, immediately being up. It's not like she was dead, she slowly woke back up, she was a little foggy, a little hazy, she needed help, like trying to stand up and figuring out how to walk again or how to breathe again or how to talk again. There was none of that. She immediately got up. So God can do amazing things in your situation. He can do amazing things in your life at the sound of the voice of Jesus. And so if you believe in God and you have people around you that can believe in your situation, that can help to cancel out that negativity, God can take you to the next level and he can do all that he needs to. And you've just got to be really cautious about who you've got in the room with you. Like, even when Jesus went into their house, he had 12 disciples. There were all these other people. He only took Peter, James, and John out of all 12 disciples. And it's not discounting the other 12 disciples, but it's knowing, like, even in your circle, you need to have an inner circle. Who are those people that you can really call on to help boost your voice in front of God and really make that plea to Jesus on your behalf? Knowing, like, different people around you might have different levels of faith, and in certain situations, you've got to call out the heavy hitters. So my charge to you this week is to analyze who you have in the room with you. If you got into a terrible situation or you were really believing God for something and you needed to see a big change in your life, the people that you have in the room, who would that be? Can you count on them? Will they pray with you? Will they be negative? Will they just be outside noise? You got to analyze that, reevaluate, and make the adjustments that God is placing on your heart. So be obedient to him. Sometimes it's hard, but it's definitely going to be worth it because he sees your whole life. He knows your whole path. He knows who you need down the road with you and who's just going to hold you back. So find comfort in his voice and just know that even if he is removing people out of your life in one season, he is going to bring back more people that will have a bigger impact on you and a more positive impact on you in your next season. Stay faithful, have hope, because God is always looking out for you. But I thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of Black Girl Bible. I hope that you really enjoyed it. I hope that it's something you can sit with this week and will really help to have real change in your life. And just thank you so much for all the continued support. Your girl has been consistent, and it is exciting, and I'm just so thankful to God that he's still using me in this way where I can really impact so many lives. For more updates on Black Girl Bible throughout the week until the next episode, make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at blackgirlbible_, and we have a website coming soon, so stay tuned for that. But I'll see you guys next week for another episode of Black Girl Bible. Bye.